Guys, we got Ecclesiastes here, chapter 6. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, and it is common among men. It's to not have the Spirit. A man to whom God has given riches, wealth, and honor, so that he wanteth nothing for his soul of all that he desireth, yet God giveth him not power to eat thereof, but a stranger eateth it. It is vanity, and it is an evil disease. In this chapter, a lot of people skip over, guys, because they don't want to teach it because it's confusing and stuff. But if you take a little bit of time to look at things and the translations, and there's actually a couple really neat verses in here in the Hebrew towards the end of this chapter. But what they're saying here is basically, it goes back to that stacking up everything and that void and that vanity, and even to the point where if you're doing things in labor, and it doesn't matter what it's for, if you don't enjoy it, someone else is going to enjoy it. Just like if you made a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean, they're glad they're getting it, but you're not enjoying your work because you don't have any spirit involved in it. So that stranger's going to eat it. If you don't enjoy it, someone else will. So if a man beget 100 children and live many years, so that the days of his years be many, and his soul be filled with good, and also that he have no burial, I say that an untimely birth is better than he. And this untimely birth is miscarriage, so to speak. Like, that's a horrible thing, and it's terrible, and it's traumatic, and it's painful, but at least those people have reality in the sense of they have spirit, is what it's saying. And they'll mourn, and they'll know that that child is with God. They'll know that God must have done this because he trusted I was strong enough to be able to get through this, that he didn't want this child to have to go through this world. It was born in the bag of waters, and then it was took. That is a legitimate birth. That's qualification for going through this flesh age. And they can look at different things and always find peace in God. But here, this guy, he could have 100 children, and you know how children are great, and they bring you their love. Well, all them 100 children, they would say, "Hey, Daddy, Daddy," or "Hey, Mom, Mom." You have all these kids, but they didn't have blessings in them because they didn't enjoy anything. It was a burden to them. They didn't have any spirit. And it's really saying to face reality, you know what I mean? And you run from things and different things. And we can't ponder on things. We've got to make things happen as we follow God. For he cometh in vanity and depriveth in darkness, and his name shall be covered with darkness. And that's without God. There's no fertility. There's nothing in. You don't profit because it's not enjoyable as spirit. God is everything, you guys. And you know what I mean? When we can indulge him, when we can embrace him, he's going to lead us. He's going to give us that spirit, and we're not even going to think about things too much, like in the last chapter. It's like when you're in the presence of God, you're just basking in glory there, because you radiate in the presence. You guys would to embrace God's spirit when it's on you. You know what I'm talking about. Verse 5, moreover, he has not seen the sun, nor known anything that this has more rest than the other. So, he didn't see the light. He didn't see the way to walk. He was walking in darkness. Just like we walk in light, so we cast a shadow, because we're children of light. And that shadow is protection. It brings shade. It gives us a sense of direction and where we're at. It's in God's light, because God is brighter than us, but we're children of the light, and they're in darkness. Yea, he lived 1,000 years twice, told, yet has he seen no good. Do not all go to one place. And that's, we all end up at the same place, and we're working here, and all you can take with you is your good and bad acts. And here, you could live for a millennium twice over, and that's 1,000 years. And, and that could go reference to, hey, he could live 1,000 years in a spirit body, and here he could live 1,000 years to say in the flesh body, and he didn't profit nothing. Or to say, his time between the first earth age, this earth age added up to 1,000, and then the millennium day, and then we didn't profit nothing. It all depends on how you look at it, how big of perspective you want to open that up. Verse 7, all the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet the appetite is not filled. Because there's vanity, you know, he didn't fill your soul. To fill your appetite of flesh, you have to fill your soul. Just like I always tell everybody, if you're putting food in your mouth every day, you should be blessing that. But if you're eating food, then you have to eat spirit too. They go hand in hand. You have to balance your day. Your direction comes from you in the morning, pretty much. That's where you pick your day. But that's just my opinion. From the mindset you wake up. For what has the wise more than a fool? This is verse 8. What has the poor that knoweth to walk before the living? That's to know how to walk. If you enjoy your life, you guys, and you know, hey, this is only for a minute, and we love everything here, but we know that there's that eternity, that's a treasure, okay? We know how to walk. We can begin to develop ourselves to walk in harmony and peace, and it doesn't be so miserable. It's not so bad here. 9. Better in the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the desire. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. The sight of the eyes, what you have your eyes on, if they're wandering of the desire, it's a vanity. If you're desiring and wanting stuff all the time, how can you keep your eyes focused on something? It goes back to that not being satisfied, the whole deal. Verse 10. That which has been is named already. That is known. That is a man. And this is the Hebrew word here. This man is tied to clay, you guys. So we can read it like, that which has been is named already. That which it has been is named already, and it is known that it is clay. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he, because God's the creator, the maker, the molder, and that's why that word man is tied to clay there. So you don't want to strive with the maker. Verse 11, seeing there be many things that increase vanity, what is man that is better? And it's the light, and we cast the shadow in the darkness, you guys. They blend in, but we stand out, and we show things, and that's kind of why we get persecuted, and you make other people look bad in a way just by you following God, because it works weird, and you'll know, and that goes back to that promise in the garden, enmity between my seed and your seed, even though I'm not calling them anyone devils like that, but the spirit, it's the total point of the spirit. And Satan's spirit is here, you guys. That's the lunar spirit that everyone follows in these occult groups. That's the base deity, is Satan, the lunar spirit. God's spirit traverses earth, so does Satan's. Verse 12, for who knoweth what is good for man in this life, all the days of his life vain, which he has spendeth in a shadow. For who can tell a man what shall be after him under the sun? You need to know, where you're going, and not live in that vanity and emptiness. And know that we have eternal life, and that's where we're going. And it's a beautiful thing, you guys, and you talk to God and you feel the Spirit every day, and you're just in Him instead of in vanity and emptiness, sitting here thinking deeper, what's going to make me happier? What am I going to do today? What can I do? And even if you have everything, look, it's vanity, because it made you happy this little bit, but it's going to get bored, and you're going to you get wandering. And there's also a phrase in here where it's suming, and it starts precious and it ends precious, and that's what we're going to read about when we get to chapter 7. But right now we just finished chapter 6, and that was the last verse of chapter 12. But the point is, you guys, is to step out of this flesh, and it's very hard, and different spirits and our feelings. And it's a constant battle, and people play on it, the world plays on it, how your life's going, all these things, and I understand that. We learn from each other's examples and hopes that maybe that next person won't hit their head in there. And even if they do, and we can all do it together in love, like we're supposed to. Okay, enjoy bringing this book to you guys, and come back and do chapter 7. See you in the next one.